Get in, chop.
I'm a bit self-aware, sometimes it's fucked up, but life is gonna lie, so I ain't gonna slow up. I'm on a mission to change the face of mental health, kicking knowledge to my people, cause you know that health is wealth. It's your lucky day, cause you tuned into the greatest. Out here striving to survive, sometimes we fake it till we make it. If your mental health is slipping, then please don't touch that dial, go and grab a cup.
Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Trudy LPC, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. I am really excited about today's episode. I have been waiting all morning, all week, all year, just to talk to this young lady again. You guys know her very, very well. Marcia Blane. She is here again today. She's a licensed professional counselor, certified professional counselor supervisor, the owner of Authentically Peculiar and Peculiar One Counseling. She is doing all of the things, advocate, host, my sister, and my friend. So without further ado, go ahead and welcome to the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast, Marcia R. Blane. Hey, Marcia, how's it going today?
Hey, girl. Hey, I have been so looking forward to being back on Self-Aware and Fucked Up because I done had a year. So, hey, audience, y'all already know me. For those who don't, as Tree said, I am Marcia Blane, a licensed professional counselor, owner of Peculiar One Counseling, and podcast host of Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. So, all the rest of that stuff, it'll come in as we begin talking. Because Tree is my sister. She is my friend. She is someone that I honestly respect as a person first, more as a therapist as well. And I know she hates accolades, but I just have to put it out there.
Come on here doing the most.
Well, you know, I just got to tell the folks that I love you, girl, and I appreciate you.
And I love you back in my Whitney Houston voice. That was my Whitney Houston voice. I never said that out loud. I always type it in parentheses. I'm like, it doesn't really work that way, but it's all good. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for always showing up. Thank you just for being who you are. I could get into the accolades, but we'll get into that as we go. You know, we ain't got to do all that.
We ain't got to do all that.
Yeah, so thank you for being here and just continuing to show your life experiences. So you said a lot had happened since the last time you were here. So catch us up. What's been going on, girl?
So since the last time we were here, I did release another book, the Trauma Bond Journal, which I'm super excited about because I have clients that are actually using that to work through their trauma bonds and going through that healing process. Of course, Authentically Peculiar podcast has jumped off. I've been to Paris. I've been to Canada as keynote speakers. I've been doing so many CEU teachings. I've had various companies asking me to come in to do CEU teachings. I did a 6-hour CEU class on decolonizing mental health. Really tearing down the walls and the infrastructure of mental health so that it can be more friendly to the Black and Brown community. So that is right now one of the things that I'm most excited for, and really putting that out there because we get so caught up in trying to live therapy within the confines of the original structure. We weren't included in the original structure. So now it's time to decolonize that so it can be more of an inclusive industry. So that's what's been going on with me. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you keep things moving. I'm so proud of the just everything that I see you doing, because it's always, every day I log in, I'm like, girl, your dedication to your goals, your missions. Like I'm sporadic. When my mama said I'm a bipolar poster.
Your mother is the sweetest, though. She's like, I'm going to get you together, girl.
No, she ain't going to get me together. She might got she help
me.
You. Okay.
Yeah, she's going to get me together.
I got you. Well, I see y'all. Y'all both love that AI, so I'm here for it.
You know, the thing about it is what I've had to learn, because this is my 58th year spending on this planet. And what I've learned is that you have to continue to pivot and evolve. If you don't, you can get very lost behind it. I know a lot of, especially Gen Xers, are saying, I don't want to do that. I don't listen. If you want to continue living, you're going to have to pivot and evolve. If you want to have sustainability, if you want to continue leaving your footprint on this planet, you got to pivot and evolve. It may not be what we're used to, but what we used to didn't always work. Yeah. So we got to enhance. We got to keep moving forward. So yeah, I'm learning more about AI. I'm doing a whole lot where I once vowed I would never be on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I'm doing lives on TikTok. I have an upcoming live with two guys I met on TikTok where we're going to be talking about father wounds and what happens when there isn't a father in the household, from the male and the female perspective, how that's building. So that's coming up, soon, around Father's Day. So yeah, it's a lot. I've just had to embrace it. And of course, retiring from the federal government really helped open up some doors for me to have some freedom.
Don't rub in your retirement, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
I am indeed. It's a different journey. There are some moments that I grieve from retirement. The interactions and things of that nature are moments that I grieve from a day-to-day perspective. But the structure of being on somebody else's clock and watch, I don't miss that at all. Not at all.
Yeah. I can't say that I enjoy being on people's clock. I do enjoy that check, but I don't like being on their clock. But yeah, gotcha. So you got a lot going on. I wanted to back it up a little bit though, because I have your journal, even though I left it in the package for a minute because, I don't check the mail. But trauma bond journal, like I know that is a big thing for a lot of people. Can you just speak a little bit more to like just how trauma bonds began and what people can kind of do to work through those trauma bonds? Because that is like a really hot thing right now. I hear more and more people talking about it.
Well, trauma bonds are kind of sneaky in the sense of how you become attached to them. People connect over their liked experiences, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And so they become bonded based on that pain because it's like, oh, you can relate to me. You understand what I've gone through. But then they start the clash. One person may be wanting to heal from that trauma. Another person is so comfortable in the trauma that they are afraid of something new. They're afraid of trusting. They're afraid of being together and then growing. And so in those bonded situations, oftentimes people have lost their voice. So then they become people pleasers. They begin to move into that place of being everything to everybody. They want to be a hero. They want to be fixed. They really just want to be liked. Yeah. They want to be accepted. They want to belong. So they become trauma bonded. And in trauma bonding, there's an ease of manipulation. And that ease of manipulation comes from the space of fear. I don't want anybody to reject me. I don't want to be abandoned again. I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to be hurt. And so somebody else can see that as weakness. Now here comes the manipulation and then the mental gymnastics, the gaslighting, the narcissism, all of that stuff comes through if you go into arenas of unchecked trauma bonds. So that's it in a nutshell with trauma. In fact, let me grab the book so I can help y'all out. This is, can you see it? Yeah, there you go. Trauma Bond Healing Journal. But yeah, it's just a journal that's guiding you through prompts. What is my bond? What am I thinking about? Why am I, the fad word right now is triggers. Why am I being triggered right now? I said something on TikTok Live the other day. I said, you can't be triggered where you've healed.
Well, listen, I would have to say that I disagree.
Okay, let's go.
Because I feel like healing isn't, there's not an end. Like there's healing, but I feel like it's continual. Like there are a lot of things that I've healed in that still, when it comes up now, my reaction to the trigger is different, but I still can feel it like in my bones. It's a visceral response. And so like, even if I've checked it, I've done the work, but you know, do you feel like there's never going to be a reaction to that? Like, how do you define that? Like, I guess the healing
part. So the heal part is, like you said, the behavioral response.
Okay.
To that, where you were once deep rooted in that trigger. Like if you do this to me, I'm gonna automatically come at you and I'm gonna automatically be defensive and I'm automatically. But when you come across that space that used to be that soft spot for me, say for example, in parenting, I was a very aggressive defender as a single parent. Because it was always single parents this, single parents that, and I would aggressively defend it. But once I satisfied my healing in, you still a good mom. You still did what you need to do. So now my response isn't to a trigger. My response is an educator. I hear what you're saying, but let's look at it from a different perspective versus I'm finna cuss you out.
Okay.
So when I say that the spaces that you're here from, and you're right, healing is not linear. It's not a direct line. There are going to be bits and pieces of part of your experiences that you're still working on healing. I tell people all the time, I'm a holy heathen.
Okay.
In that space, meaning there are still things that I remember growing up in church that make me go, man, we tolerated that? Versus, man, I'm about to fight you on that. So when I say our triggers, you know, you don't necessarily respond from the trigger once you're healed from that. That's portions. But there could be another portion that is just like, I'm still in fight mode. I posted something that you laughed at it the other day, that the Incredible Hulk figure, when I said, y'all better not activate this Memphis in me. Because for me, disrespect, that's an area that I still get highly triggered in, that I know my healing has not come to a fruition where I'm not going to fight you about disrespecting me. That's the holy heathen side of me, because I'm going to come for your neck.
Gotcha.
And so when I say that, it's not to make it seem as if you're never going to have a triggering experience from this situation, but your response and your behavioral modification on how you deal with it gives a demonstration of healed in that area, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Like when you was like, you don't have triggers. I'm like, hold up now. I'm healed in a lot of areas, but I still have things that will trigger me. I just don't respond the same way. So like maybe it's the, you know, semantics of it more so than you were saying, like you don't ever ever have triggers.
It's more of the semantics. It's more of saying I'm at a space where this does not activate an aggressive response for me and you. Our body is going to keep the score. We're going to remember as a precautionary tale that you did this before. I'm just not going to react the same way as I once did. So now I'm not going to give you my normal triggered response, because there are some people sitting there saying, watch if I do this. Watch how they going to respond. Because now they want you to look like this bad guy.
Yeah.
She always going off. Every time you talk to her, she cussing somebody out and yada, 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 yada. When the truth is when you change your behavioral response, they become confused. And they become confused because they no longer get the reaction that they had normalized for you. So their lie is falling apart in front of them. And that lie that's falling apart is she always responds like that, or he always responds like that. He's just combative. He's just this. Well, when I'm not, now your lie is falling apart. Now you're scrambling, trying to see if there's something else that you can say, do, or activate in me to respond. That's the heal side.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm hearing that I've done a lot of healing in what you said, for a lot of different things, though, you know, And there are things that my wife does that trigger me, and some of it comes from past relationships. I have an aunt who triggers me very, very often. I was actually triggered, I believe it was Tuesday. I had to have a medical procedure, and I'm telling her I'm about to rest, and then she brings up something that I've told her multiple times I don't want to talk about. Don't tell me about it. I don't care. Let me know. And so, the response was, well, that's still yo such and such. Like, that triggered me so bad. But instead of me fighting, instead of me, continuing to do the back and forth and explaining myself a third time, I said, I'm going to go ahead and hang up now. To me, that's healing.
That's healing, because you then took control over how you respond. Because, and one of the things I often tell my clients is we can't control somebody else's healing. We can't control the words that come out of somebody else's mouth. What we can control, especially in our healed part, is how we handle it, how we respond to it. It's okay to say, hey, I told you I wasn't having that discussion, so I'm getting ready to hang the phone up, and hang the phone up.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. Yeah. It's a straight boundary. And so many people are afraid to have boundaries. That's why they remain in that trauma bonded space, because they're afraid of three things. And I'll fight to the end of earth saying this. Abandonment, rejection, and disappointment are the underlying situations that causes people to have some experience with mental health issues in their life. Because when you didn't think about abandonment, that rejection, and that disappointment, none of those things are within your control. And so from that space, when somebody abandons you, and it doesn't start today, your body is going to remember the first time you experienced abandonment. Your body is going to remember the first time it felt rejected. Your body is going to remember the first time it was disappointed. And as life goes on and experiences go on, it will continue to build a defense mechanism, but it won't give you permission to go back to the root. When you can get back to the root of your why behind that abandonment, that rejection, and that disappointment, healing gonna come. Because now I'm addressing what the root is. That's that trauma bond that you have to give yourself permission to release.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of work to do that. Like my EMDR experience has been like, I think I was starting it the last time, or I had just started it last year. And it's definitely opened a lot of, stuff within me. But getting to the root definitely makes a difference. I've noticed within myself, like being able to regulate when things happen versus just like going off. And not that I didn't have the temperament to be able to kind of control my emotions, but I also had that thing of letting things build and build and build. And then the reaction you got was not about the tip of the iceberg. It was about everything that was underneath that had occurred. And I think that another thing that getting to the root of for me with EMDR has been people pleasing, because I don't people please in the way that I think a lot of people do, where there's that consciousness of it. So for me, like you know me, you probably wouldn't, and again, you could tell me if I'm wrong or whatever, but you probably wouldn't look at me as a people pleaser type just based on my personality.
But I have. I have in the past. And your people pleasing isn't running and kissing somebody behind. Your people pleasing is more of my presentation. My acceptance from a professional standard, who I am as a wife, who I am, as a person. That's your people pleasing. It's not the kiss butt people pleasing. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is thinking that people pleasing has to look one specific way. It doesn't. If you're on a job and you know about your capabilities and the whole 9 yards, and you're still looking for that validation, you're still looking for that acceptance, that's people pleasing.
Yeah.
People pleasing. Yeah. So no, it doesn't look the same. I mean, you're authentically peculiar. How you going to look like everybody else?
Yeah. And for me, it's not trying to look at from like everybody else. Because on a professional level, girl, listen, I want my check. I'm going to show up. I'm a professional. That is what's happening, right? But it's different. Like even then, I don't give a fuck about pissing people off. Like I'm gonna do my job and I'm gonna do it to the way that it's supposed to be done. And if you don't like it, then that's fine. I've never wanted people to like me professionally.
Yeah.
I respect is the key. I don't give a damn if you don't like me. But for me, learning about like a lot of the stuff that came up for me in EMDR, I got to the root of it, which was I was told that I was a bad influence. And so I spent most of my life trying to prove that I was good enough as a result of that. So it wasn't, again, that traditional people pleasing. Because if you had asked me, I would have been like, fuck them people. I don't give a fuck and all of that. But the truth is the inner child in me was still trying to get validation, even though adult me is like, I really don't care. But child
the
me
adult
cares
me
a lot.
was surviving. The adult me was surviving from what the younger you had been experiencing. And I think that's a lot where a lot of people miss it. Even in therapy, a lot of people miss it to understand that my reactions today have nothing to do with today. It has everything to do with a foundation that was set, that was outside of my control. Yeah. Oftentimes people will get into this space of, I should have done, I could have done. And I have to break it all the way down. What could your little 6-year-old self have done? Nothing. You did all that you knew to do as a 6-year-old. Yeah. You did all that you knew to do as a 12-year-old. You know different now because you're looking through an adult lens. But the baby inside of you, that unprotected one, that disappointed one, that rejected one, that abandoned one, she's still hurting. He's still hurting. And so when situations come up, that's what's rising up. Not right now. Yeah. Right now, it's just saying, hey, you still got a part in there that needs to be worked on.
Yeah. And she being worked on.
Listen, when I tell people that think, especially the insurance industry, who seems to think that we're going to take 40, 50 years and turn it over in 6 weeks, that's not realistic. It's not realistic to think that you're going to automatically turn all this. It takes about 6 weeks for us to start taking the top off. Yeah. Before we can even start getting down into the root, and depending on if you're ready to get to root cause, that's going to dictate where your healing journey is going to start. Because a lot of people come to therapy and they just want the right now anxiety to go away. They want the right now depression to go away. No, baby, it doesn't work that way. We got to actually get to the root of what's happening. And a lot of that stuff does come back into trauma bonded situations.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's so much of us that don't want to deal with the past. We don't want to go back. Like a lot of my clients, they are like, well, I just want to, like, they're like what you're saying. Like, I just want to deal with the right now. And I'm asking, well, can we go back to where this started for you? Because I think with people pleasing, it's hard to work through that if you can't acknowledge where it started. And I think that's a big barrier for a lot of people. I know when my shit started.
Exactly. And the other thing that I would like people in the audience to really understand is you going back to where it started doesn't mean that you're degrading anybody else in the process. You're going back so that you can heal the part of you that has become uncomfortable in the present. So that doesn't mean if I talk about your mama, I ain't talking about your mama. I'm talking about the situations that surrounded your mother that got you to that place where you are now, and that fear that you have of addressing it, because I don't want to talk about my mom. I don't want to talk about my dad. I don't want to talk about my childhood. This isn't about them. This is about your healing and knowing that it's okay to recognize some of the things that I needed from my mom, my dad, my siblings, I didn't get. And those things have shaped how I move now. That's what it's about. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think we struggle with that because we don't want in the present people to not like us, and we don't want that. And I think that, that's something I definitely had to work through. So I'm curious, like, I'll be telling you all my business. So have you ever dealt with a trauma bond or people pleasing? Is that something you've ever
Both.
struggled with? Okay.
Yeah, both. So the people pleasing was a bridge off of being a victim of very early sexual trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And being told that nobody would believe me, nobody would protect me and things like that. So my people pleasing came in the space of always wanting to make sure that people like me. That was my earlier years. I'm at I don't give a damn if you like me or not. That started in my 40s. Cause I just didn't. I don't. I tried as a preteen and a teen to have that, but it was just masking my pain.
Mm.
And so I started bonding from that pain, being in relationships that I knew I shouldn't have been in, being intimate with people that I knew I shouldn't have been intimate with because I needed to belong, to be chosen, to be accepted. And in those relationships, I started bonding in ways that would actually cause mental harm to me.
Mm.
Because the moment that it was like, I want to be with you, in my head, I went back to the little girl that was told you're not enough.
Mm.
That was being rejected, that was being abandoned. And as I worked through the sexual trauma in my life and got to like me, even now, my high school classmates in this year is my 40th year out of high school.
Okay. 40.
But even my classmates said, you didn't have self-esteem issues when we were growing up. Yeah, I did.
Mm.
Major self-esteem issues when I was growing up because I was always called big. And big, I'm learning, didn't mean that I was big. I was big.
Mm-hmm.
I was taller than everybody. I was more athletic and all those different things. So that constituted big. There was no other term for it. But in my mind, because of all that I had gone through, I was big.
Mm.
Subsequently, I used the ideology of big to keep weight on because I felt like if I was heavy, people wouldn't be attracted to me. I felt like that would push people away and it set up a defense system. It didn't. It didn't stop the attraction. What it actually did was cultivate it into self-sabotage and self-harm mentally for me. Because I would be on that wheel that kept going. You're not enough. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not thin enough. You're not this and you're not that. Nobody's going to believe you. If you tell what your truth is, everybody's going to go against me. I had to work through that. So absolutely. I don't know of a person that hadn't experienced something throughout their life that challenged them to not be trauma bonded, to challenge them to not get into even a minute state of people pleasing. Because if you have a rip, and I always go back to Maslow's hierarchy, if you have a rip in that belonging stage and that safety and security stage and that chosen stage, that thing carries you through life until you go back and actually repair it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can have, and I tell my kids all the time, 3 kids grew up in the same household and all 3 of them are totally different. Had totally different perspectives about what life was. Some days with my son, I had to be like, well, whose house was you actually living in? Because I don't remember half the shit you be saying.
Yeah.
You know, to my girls, wondering at times, did I over prepare them in the sense of the stay on your stick? Don't let anybody tear you down. Don't, that kind of thing, to where they had this a little rough edge around them too, kind of like their mama.
Okay.
And learning how to balance things. Life is a balance, but again, I don't know anybody who hadn't battled with some form of people pleasing.
Yeah. But we don't always like to admit that. Like some people feel okay saying that out loud, but some people, like myself, until I really realized like, okay, this is where this starts. It wasn't an easy thing to kind of say out loud, even though I knew that the little girl in me was always fighting to prove that she was enough. Not to be light, but just that, damn, am I enough? Like, can I just be enough? And that to me was a battle that, you know, it felt like it was never ending. And I know now that I am enough.
And even in that, I believe that as we go through different stages, you may run into another wall of questioning. Am I enough in this? That, to me, it just doesn't end. I think the stages and the chapters that you're in, you can overgrow that part of needing to know that you're enough. But it's an ongoing movement. I reduce the triggers in this level, but there are some questions when I get to a certain place. And as much as I speak publicly, there are times that I have to say, yo, girl, take up space. In a manner of me encouraging myself when that thought come in saying, you know, people gonna see if you're faking. I have to then turn around and say, take up space. They asked you to come. You didn't ask them, could you come?
Yeah.
But take up the space.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we all have a little bit of imposter syndrome in us from time to time, regardless of how many, you know, letters we have behind our names or how many times we've stood before the people. I think that it's just that thing or whatever, you know, and again, I don't think it's a cultural thing specifically. I think it's just that sometimes we feel like, am I really as good as I think I am, or as people think I am? Is this really, you know, who I am? Yeah. Am I really making change when I speak to people? You know, so
exactly. And you know, one of the things that I do is when I have that thought, one of the first things that I do after I've completed presenting is I sit down and write, this was the thought I had before. This was the thought that was happening as I entered in. This is the thought I came out with, to remind myself, hey, assess where you are. You walked in, you little nerves, thinking enough. Yeah, I'm going to take up space. Halfway through, you looking around and saying, oh, you got this. And then when it's done, man, you knocked that out the park. Appreciate you showing up. That's how I do it with me.
No, I'm here for it. You know, to me, my millennial brain and half Gen Z brain process take up space as pop your shits is.
Pretty much. In a very clean version. In a very clean version, take up space is pop that shit.
Yeah.
Put that shit on.
Yeah. Come on now. I'm not dealing with you.
Let's rock and roll. And you know what I'm saying? Because the truth is even as I just hit my year of gastric sleeve and went to the doctor, and he reminded me that I had lost 125 pounds. And there are days when I stand up in the closet and be like, just put that shit on. Just put it on. It don't matter that you still got skin. It doesn't matter all that. And then go out and represent. So I take that, even in therapy. People don't realize that even as a therapist, you can have that one client that's going to challenge the hell out of all of your thoughts, your training, the whole 9 yards. And then when you see that break, it's like, yeah, you did that. You did that. You did that. And that's what it means to me is take up space, pop that shit, put that shit on, let's roll.
Yeah.
I always say, and you know, I say this quite frequently, I'm anointed and appointed to be on this big rock. So that means everything that I need for every genre that I enter into, whatever I'm doing, I'm supposed to be there. That's my space. It's mine.
Yeah.
And I'm creating many Marcias with my clients where I take their space.
Take that space. Pop your shit. All of that.
Pop your shit. We need a t-shirt, Tree. I need you to make a t-shirt. Come on now.
I mean, the folks that coined that term, but they might try to fight us about that. But anyway, I don't know.
Well, that's the point. That's the point. We have to put a new twist on it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here for it. So I'm curious, like, because you combed through and grown through a lot as a clinician, as a person, you know, as just, you know, all of the things in your life. So I'm curious, what's one hard truth about yourself that you had to accept in order for you to grow through everything that you've grown through?
That's heavy. A hard truth that I've had to grow through is being the strong one. I had to honor myself and say, I don't need to be. I was conditioned to be the strong one. I've lived being the strong one, but I had to walk into this space and say, you super sensitive too. You just know how to mask it. And a part of that was because I was conditioned very early to be strong like my mama. But that became a burden.
Yeah.
And I had to pass that space to say, I don't always have to present as tough. I don't always have to be the strong one in the space. It's okay for me to take that shield down. It took my granddaughter with her little stanky self. She's 14 now, but we were all standing around and they, ribbing me about dating because I said I may start trying to date again. I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Okay.
And the running theme was fix your face. What's wrong with my face? It's like, your face don't look approachable. You mean? So while they're telling me this, I had a scowl on my face and didn't realize it. So this little thing took a picture and says, you mean like this now? It's like, yo. So part of that growth is really checking in myself and asking, are you still in the defensive place of having the experiences of bad relationships, of having to prove that you could still do what you need to do as a woman and hold it down and all that kind of stuff? And my answer was, yes, you are. My next question to myself was, but why? And my hard answer was, you hadn't learned to trust people. Because you don't always trust you with other folks. Because in your trusting, people attempted to manipulate your kindness.
Yeah.
So I had to go through that. And I'm growing through that process to recognize that I got to do that for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the old lady with a whole bunch of face wrinkles because my face stuck on, resting bitch face. I don't want to do that. I just don't. So that has been a journey of me working through with my therapist, learning to trust me in spaces that vulnerability comes easy. That's been a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I was conditioned to believe at one point in my life that vulnerability was weakness. And I know better. I teach better. But the little girl inside of me kept using it as a defense shield. And I didn't even see it until she called it out.
Some therapists, they just be doing the most. Like, mind your business.
The most, man. How you gonna therapize me?
It's like, okay. Anyway. But I'm
that
glad.
Was a good question, though. That was a really good question.
Yeah. I'm glad that you kind of are recognizing and calling out these things about yourself. Because I think that we all have to sometimes face those truths about ourselves that other people recognize, but we are kind of blind to it. So that's really good to hear. So yeah. So I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, and I know I've asked you this question multiple times, but I'm gonna ask it in a different way today. So,
okay, let me get ready.
What is the most self-aware and fucked up thing about you present day?
And I like me. I like me. I have gotten to a place in my life that I am so self-aware that I don't give a fuck. because in my self-awareness, I no longer have to hide what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. I can express my truth in a way that it can be heard, and I can accept when you don't accept how I express it. And I'm so cool with that, because being in a space of authenticity, telling and sharing my truth can throw some people off, because it could appear as cockiness. It can appear as being conceited, when the truth is I'm just being Marcia. So and I like being fucked up in my self-awareness. I honestly do, because it's freeing, it's releasing, and it's allowing me to live who I am in any part of who I am. So that's where I am.
I love it. Thank you so much for going there with me and just continuing to be yourself. I love you from the bottom of my heart, and I appreciate you being here and continuing to show up in this space with me and supporting the mission. And I want you to just take a moment to share with the people how they can connect with you, and make sure you don't forget to plug your Becoming Her and your other audio things that you have going on, because those are amazing and I don't want you to forget. So go ahead and share with the people how they can connect with you and what you got going on.
Ooh, so you brought it back to me. I keep forgetting about those meditation albums, but the fastest way to find out everything about me and what I have going on is going to marciablane.com. You will find a layout of what items I have to purchase, what's coming up new, who my podcast guests are. You can tap into the meditation albums. I'm about to drop one for mother wound to work through those wounds with the mother. I'll be dropping that in a couple of weeks. You can follow me on any social media, either Marcia Blane or Authentically Peculiar Marcia. I go live now on TikTok, so you can catch me on midday mental health moments a couple of times a week, where I'm really just there for 30 to 40 minutes, giving some midday inspiration on how to make it through your day. And this last one, we talked about really tapping into what abandonment feels like and how you rebuild from those spaces in your life, and really honoring your truth. What else I got going on? Doing a couple of weddings. So I'm a wedding officiant as well. So I'm doing a couple of weddings, and I think I have 4 scheduled through this summer. Okay. So if you're looking for a wedding officiant, if you're looking for premarital counseling, I'm your girl. We got it. I am setting up to do some more CEUs. I just finished doing some. I'm going to record a session on somatic breathing and transcendence movement, just the free of movement, because I think a lot of people really need to understand how to learn how to breathe, how to move your body in a natural form where it's not robotic and it's not a specific dance or anything like that, just moving to your own beat. So that's how you can find me. That is what's going on. Those meditation albums, Becoming Her was my first meditation album. It really is just drawing you back into your true self. My second meditation album was Peculiar Peace, about grief. Grief is hitting me pretty hard right now. If I can redirect for just a moment. And I had to pull the album out myself yesterday. For those that don't follow me, I lost a friend of 50 years suddenly. She just dropped. And we don't know the reason why. And as we're coming up, I mean, she's been my friend since 3rd grade, my sister, my friend since 3rd grade. And as we're coming up on our 40-year high school reunion and time from being out of high school, I started thinking about it yesterday. And I was like, yo, man, you're not going to even be here. So that grief, boom, just that quick. It hit. And so I turned the album on and I went and sat outside and I started working through that process, because again, just like with healing, grief is not linear. Grief will smack you before you know it and then leave just as quick, because the ironic thing about it was I'm grieving And my mother and my father always said that if I needed to see them after they go on, I would see a bluebird and a red bird, and both flew in my backyard while I was sitting out there yesterday. And I was like, yo, y'all still got me.
Yeah.
Y'all still got me. So again, I'm a holistic healer that I truly believe that everything that we need, we came to this earth with. If you want to check me out, just go to marciablane.com. I do sound bowl therapy. If you want to do a sound bowl therapy session in your home, you get your friends together, let me know. All of that is on my website. And of course, you can check out the weekly newsletter that comes out and the podcast. So that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
No, you got a lot going on, girl. You are the hardest working woman in mental health right now. So I'm here for it.
Appreciate it. Thank you again so much for always opening up self-aware and fucked up to me so that I can come and release some things. And I tell people all the time, you're my reason for starting Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. Because you challenged me that very first season that I was on your podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I do it? And we found out that I had all the software, had downloaded all the apps. Mm-hmm. So thank you again for breathing into me. I truly, truly honor our connection.
As do I. Thank you so much. And thank you for continuing to share space with me. So guys, please make sure that you connect with Marcia. The information for how you can connect with her will be in the description of this episode. Also be sure to follow me, Tree the LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Tree the LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and take care of your motherfucking mental health.
I'm a bit self-aware, sometimes it's fucked up, but life is gonna lie, so I ain't gonna slow up. I'm on a mission to change the face of mental health, kicking knowledge to my people, cause you know that health is wealth. It's your lucky